Hey guys, KallTorak here. Today I am bringing you my Reflect Sunder Smith guide for leveling and endgame. This was a very fun build that ended up being amazing on a budget. I leveled insanely fast. I made this character yesterday and I'm already farming deep endgame. I will have a Mobilix link down below that will hopefully have everything you need to get this character online. I tried to cover all that was needed for leveling and the transition to endgame. When to add new skills, when to upgrade your gear, and the exact passive route to take at each level bracket. I put a lot of work into this written guide, so I hope this helps. If you are enjoying the content though, please like and subscribe. I am on a Path of Exile content grind with more than just build guides. I do many theme shows and soon we'll be starting a new interview series where I interview Path of Exile build creators. Episode 1 will be out with Jorgen sometime this week. Also, if you're interested in seeing me do a Caltrops dodge roll tactician build, get this video to 400 likes. The core of this build is Wind Dancer. This is one of the starting spirit gems that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. While active, Wind Dancer will grant you stages of a buff that gives you evasion. What's important is when you are hit, Wind Dancer explodes, consuming all stacks, and deals damage per stack. You are very easily able to scale Wind Dancer's damage through not only gem skill level, but weapon damage. Running through the campaign with a solid two-hander with melee skills makes Wind Dancer more than enough to clear most enemies on screen. A lot of people think Reflect builds are just standing there to deal damage, but that is rarely the case. Sure, sometimes you'll find yourself doing it, but most of the time you are just running through the map and things are naturally hitting you. These single explosions are enough to clear the entire screen from one hit. What makes Wind Dancer even better at clearing is the addition of the Poison Armor Explosion technique. When you have Envenom, Corrosion, and Armor Explosion inside of Wind Dancer, you are able to do some pretty awesome things. Essentially how it works is Wind Dancer hits really hard with physical damage. This physical damage can poison because of Envenom. The poison will then armor break via corrosion, which will trigger armor explosion. Armor explosion does a lot of damage, and if you have multiple explosions going off in that group of mobs, you are not only just hitting them for more damage, but when an enemy dies, it spreads its poison. Add on Bursting Plague, and it's even crazier. Wind Dancer with only Envenom will lose its steam quickly since the poison stops spreading. With Armor Explosion and Bursting Plague constantly finishing off enemies, you can clear many screens away with Herald of Plague. For bossing, we are using Sunder. Sunder is a skill I've been avoiding for a while. I mean, just watch the animation for it in game. It just looks so slow and clunky. When it's used purely as a bossing and rare killing tool though, it is very powerful, especially in our playstyle. Sunder will consume fully broken armor on enemies to guarantee a critical hit. Not increased crit chance, guaranteed crit. This is how you're seeing me one-shot so many bosses with 0 crit chance. Throughout the campaign and a lot of early mapping bosses, Sunder was just straight up one-shotting everything. By walking up, armor breaking, infernal crying, and then sundering, you are stacking so much into one big, massive hit. The setup honestly isn't as bad as you think it would be. I normally wouldn't like a skill like this, but I actually look forward to bossing a lot with this build. The setup is quick, simple, and fun. Smith of Kitava is amazing for this build on a budget, and defensively, I don't know if Titan can compete. Right now, I'm running through endgame with 4,000 life and 84% resistance for lightning fire and cold. Cold Stoker allows us to easily get res cap. Support straps make strength stacking super easy too. Leather bindings is actually pretty insane, and Forge and Flame has made me pretty impossible to kill with elemental damage. I spent very little on this character because of how cheap it was to itemize around Smith of Kitava. Now, the question I know everyone is going to ask is, do I think this or Titan is better? Smith is better on a budget. However, especially in the late game, Titan will probably outshine this. Even if you wanted to copy paste this exact playstyle over to my Titan's Wind Dancer, I think in late game, hulking form will always outscale Smith. However, Smith isn't bad at all. It is insanely tanky. I don't know if Titan can be as tanky as Smith. If you are upset that you are already Titan, or you are a Smith that eventually wants to swap to Titan, it's very easy to do. Ascendancy swapping in 0.2 takes no time at all. You just kill whatever the most recent trial you did for Ascendancy was. For me, it would be to go kill Trial Master again. You only have to kill him one time and you can fully swap all Ascendancy. You keep all points, you just get to swap and reallocate all Ascendancy passives. If you are in the campaign, just redo the recent second must or chaos run you did, and then you swap in minutes. The biggest change for my Titans build, I would say, aside from Sunder, is the addition of a shield. In the mid-level 80s, I was able to swap to a shield-based block style that made me incredibly tanky. With offensive stance and lay siege, I have made up for a lot of the damage I lost from those melee skills. Make sure to get a good shield though with high block chance. 40% block chance or higher is required. This style, despite the damage loss, is still performing very well for me. If you had Chernobog shield, I'm sure this build would be insane. I'm also not using the deepest tower. Mace Strike wasn't working well with this on Titan, but this works perfectly with Sunder. I run deepest tower at all times now. It's really fun, and if we are being honest, using a two-handed mace with a shield is probably a fantasy we all had as kids. Just the beefiest of warriors. For leveling, Crown of the Victor and Meganor's Girdle are great starting uniques that will last a while. Meganor's eventually will get replaced by Inferno Clasp. Inferno Clasp will be used forever, so invest in a good one with high maximum fire resistance and strength. Through the campaign, prio the following stats. While leveling, you will find yourself starved for dexterity and strength. You are using two-handers that require a large amount of strength, and Wind Dancer, which requires a large amount of dexterity. If you are struggling with these stats, prio them on your rings. You can get a very high strength and dex roll on rings, both stats on the same ring. Make sure every other piece of rare gear you have has strength or dex as well. For jewels, if you are rich, get a Prism of Belief or Wind Dancer. Definitely not needed though. For your jewels, get % increased effect, % increased attack damage, % increased life, or % increased block chance. Eventually get one Sapphire or recover max life on kill. This will be nice for endgame mapping and Simulacrum. For Annoyance in the campaign, just use Proficiency. It is really nice for keeping up with the dex requirements. Robust runes for strength, adept runes for dex. In your helmet, you can slap in a bear talisman for the increased area of effect. If you are struggling with resistance, you can slap desert runes in your gear. For the early levels, I use primarily Mace Strike. Wind Dancer will take care of most things, but for bossing, you'll want something for them. You can use Perfect Strike, but I'm not a fan. Since we have good two-handers, all we need is Mace Strike and Infernal Cry to slap down bosses. Wind Dancer will take care of the rest. You really want to use a greater Jeweler's Orb in Wind Dancer. A perfect Jeweler's Orb isn't required, but Bursting Plague will make sure that you are killing a lot more. This will be the slowest part of the campaign, but from the start, Wind Dancer can handle most things. While leveling, keep your eyes out for any base chests, something like Fur Plate. It needs to be common white type. It can't be magic, rare, or unique. We will start using this in the mid-30s for Smith's Masterwork. If you want to use Herald of Plague right away, slap on Pariah's Embrace for this level bracket. You will want to be taking this off halfway through Act 3 though. When we get to Act 3, we can start using Herald of Plague for easy clear and Sunder for bosses. The moment I swapped to Sunder for the campaign, it became a breeze. Wind Dancer handles one-shotting all the trash while Sunder takes care of the bosses. Break their armor, Infernal Cry, then boom. Dab on them haters. When you get to endgame, you can start using Giant's Blood to dual-wield two-handers. The bonus melee skills will enable Wind Dancer to handle mapping all the way through Waystone 15s. Adding on Solo Orb will make you extra tanky, and Herald of Blood will ensure all enemies die. This build is incredibly fun and smooth for leveling. It transitioned very well into endgame for me. I am farming +3 content with ease, and Waystone 16s are a breeze. Shout out to CCS, he was doing a Poison Wind Dancer Titan with Shield Charge. I saw that he was using Herald of Blood, and I thought that was cool. Wanted to try it out, put Lacerate in Wind Dancer, and it felt great, so shout out to him. Okay, I'm going to try and run through everything as fast as I can. If there's anything I miss or I gloss over, it should be in the written guide. I spent like all yesterday and half of today working on it, so it's pretty thorough. If I miss something, just go read the written guide. It has everything. Also, if you're watching this video the day it came out, I'm probably streaming this morning, so come over to YouTube or Twitch and I'll be live streaming. Okay, so the Smith. This is actually one of the better characters I've ever played from in terms of like just leveling to going straight into endgame. Smith of Kitava is just an insanely overpowered ascendancy. It is so tanky on a budget, and that's what I want to make very clear here. This was on a budget. 1 to 80, I did not use any of my Titans gear. I used only gear that costed 1 Exalt or less. I think at one point when I first went into maps, I had a couple rings that I bought that cost 5 to 10 Exalts, but for the most part, it was on a full budget, and yeah, this build is really smooth for that transition. Right now I'm level 89, and this gear is not optimized at all. For Smith of Kitava, I'm at 587 strength, 168 dexterity, and 63 int. 3888 life, about 1,000 less life than my Titan, but honestly I feel tankier. Smith is just crazy. 84% res for fire, lightning, and cold just makes me insanely tanky. The 33% chaos res is the worst part. Whenever I optimize this better with gear, this will be higher. And then block is at 72% chance. That's one of the reasons why this is so much tankier. Not just because of the Smith of Kitava, but because I'm doing block instead of the dual-wielding two-handers. I have a two-hander with a shield, and I'm able to get up to 72% block. And yeah, I am just a beef boy because of it. Let's go through the support gems, starting with Sunder. Sunder is how we are doing bossing. Inside of Sunder, I have Concentrated Effect, Execute, Fist of War, Super Critical, and Unbreakable. Unbreakable, you can swap out for bossing. I have found that I need this for mapping. Anytime I've tried taking it out on mapping, eventually there's going to be one of those fast attacking rares that comes out of nowhere and stuns me mid-Sunder, and then I die because of it. For bossing, you obviously don't need this. You could swap this out for something that gives you way more damage. Maybe something like close combat, I'm not sure. But right now, I just felt like Unbreakable is needed, and I hate swapping stuff for bossing. I'm that kind of player, so I just leave it in at all time. Sunder is insane. It hits so hard because of the guaranteed critical hit. It's very consistent. If you had more crit damage bonus or just more damage, obviously you could one-shot tier 4 Zet. I've seen people do it. I just don't have the gear for that yet. And the setup is pretty easy. So right now I do Font of Rage with the Curse. I put the Curse down and get Font of Rage up. You want to get up to at least 10 Rage, because when you have 10 Rage and you Infernal Cry, it consumes that Rage to make your next powered melee attack better. Once you have actually, you're not going to Font of Rage yet. It's you're going to Solo Orb, Flame Ability, and then you're going to Armor Breaker. You want to Armor Break before Infernal Cry, because your Infernal Cry will apply to your Armor Breaker. And then after you break their armor, then you Infernal Cry, and then you Sunder. That will consume the broken armor on the boss, and a lot of times it'll lead to doing at least half of the boss's HP. Waystone level 16s with Max Box Atlas passives, I'm doing about 1/3 of their life in a single hit, depending on how hard I'm hitting at the moment. And I think I killed tier 3 Jet in 4 or 5 hits. So Sunder is just really good, and it's really all I use for bossing. On mapping, the armor break from the poison ends up hitting most rare, so I don't even have the armor break on them. If I do see a rare that's not dying, I'll just send a Sunder at it mid-combat, and yeah, it's really easy. Wind Dancer is the core of the build. I mean, I do reflect builds, and I did a reflect build in 0.1. It didn't go so well. Wind Dancer got buffed in 0.2. You saw me run on my Titan. And then, yeah, here I am on Smith. I love this skill. It is just so powerful. Inside of it right now, I have Lacerate, Envenom, Armor, Explosion, Corrosion, and Bursting Plague. These all lead to just insane AoE clear. My Wind Dancer is purely for mapping right now. The Titan has way more damage due to hulking form, and just the way we built it. This setup really makes up for our lack of damage. Bursting Plague ends up doing a lot of AoE damage, and then Lacerate is what's enabling Herald of Blood, which is more AoE damage for us, which I'll talk about when we get to that. But Wind Dancer, again, this is like a way lower damage than my Titan. I think my Titan's pushing 30,000 Wind Dancer. I'm doing 9,700. So that is a significant damage difference, yet somehow the mapping is great. And that's because I have started using Bursting Plague and Lacerate combined with Herald of Blood, and that is all you need for mapping. As you can see here, it is just dominating the content. And yeah, again, really important about Wind Dancer, when you're getting a weapon, if you are searching on the trade site and you sort by DPS, make sure the weapon doesn't have something like attack speed on it. Because if you're sorting by physical DPS, you'll see like something with like 1,000 physical DPS, but it might have like some insane attack speed rolls on it with attack speed gems or sockets, and that damage is not accurate towards buffing Wind Dancer. You really don't care about attack speed at all, and Wind Dancer does not benefit from attack speed, so it won't actually buff your actual damage of Wind Dancer. It is a bait. So make sure you're sorting by damage and you're looking at the actual raw physical damage of your two-hander. That is super important for Wind Dancer, because it doesn't just scale off the melee damage, it scales off your weapon's damage, not your weapon's DPS, your weapon's damage. Okay, that's very clear, our key. So Infernal Cry is how we buff our Sunder. It can also buff Wind Dancer, so when you're running through the map, just make sure you're spamming your Infernal Cry all the time, because it'll be buffing your Wind Dancer, which will, seriously, it helps a lot with the damage. You should be spamming Infernal Cry as often as you can when you're mapping, and then, of course, before every Sunder. Inside Infernal Cry, I have Premeditation, Ingenuity, Tireless, Raging Cry, and Enraged Cry. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Enraged Cry consumes 10 rage to do 30% more damage with attacks. It's a big DPS boost, so that's the setup I'm running there. Herald of Plague, it's used for mapping. We're doing the poison setup. This is what spreads the poison, like you saw in many of those clips. It spreads for infinite screens if there's the density, right? That's because of Herald of Plague. This is required for that much spread. Eventually, your spread will tucker out without Herald of Plague. Flammability is just for bossing. You just throw it down on the ground with Ritualistic Curse, Cursed Ground, and Heightened Curse. Oh, that's not Flammability. Oh, this is Flammability. Just puts the curse on the ground. Yeah. Herald of Blood, it is our alternate mapping tool. When combined with Wind Dancer and Lacerate, you're going to bleed, which will then, of course, trigger Herald of Blood. And then with Herald of Blood, I have Magnifying Effect, Maim, Brutality, Heft, and Impale. It's just for extra damage and extra mapping. It's really nice. I mean, if you turn off Herald of Plague and you just only use Wind Dancer with the poison tech, you'll still clear, but you'll notice that it'll tucker out faster. You won't get as many kills. At one point, I was doing Herald of Ash. Herald of Ash worked okay, but Herald of Blood tech with Lacerate works better, in my opinion. Armor Breaker. We really only use this on bossing, and sometimes on bossing, you don't even need to use it. Sometimes Wind Dancer will break the armor for you, but this is just to break armor. Nothing really else matters about it. Again, it's part of the rotation. You have to do it right before you Infernal Cry, so you just break the armor of the boss, Infernal Cry, then Sunder. It's just the guarantee armor break on bosses, and then when you don't one-shot bosses like Tier 4 Jet and stuff, you have to armor break, shout, Sunder, armor break, and you won't have shout up, so you'll Sunder again, then you'll armor break, shout, Sunder. At this point, your things have probably expired, and then you are back to spamming this rotation. And that's really just how you boss like that. Leap Sam for mobility, momentum, cadence, unyielding, holy descent, and shocking leap. And then in Solar Orb, remember keep Solar Orb at a low level because you have low int, as well as flammability, as you can see both for level 7. Font of Rage, Font of Blood. Font of Blood is huge, regeneration. You're going to be using Haunt of Blood. You want to stand inside of it, not just for the rage, but for the defensive this gives. You will notice this is huge for Simulacrum. I'll be standing in it as much as I can on Sim. Strip Away, and Fire Exposure, and then Persistence. And those are the skill gems. Now, everyone's always asking, oh, I can't use Wind Dancer. I don't have the dex. How are you using the dex when it costs over 200 dex whenever you get the level 20 base? And I only have 168 dex. Well, that's because the tooltip will like show it's still grayed out here or redded out here. But when you take these nodes down here, reduce attribute requirements by 4%, 4%, and 4%. Like it doesn't show it here in the red, but I'm still wearing it, right? It says 191 dexterity. I have 168. So you don't have to get up to 191 dex. Once you have these attributes, that reduces the cost of equip it and skill gems, and Wind Dancer at its highest levels is cheaper. So that's why my dex is lower, and I can still use the skill gem. You don't have to worry about hitting 200 dexterity. Okay, for the gear. So for Smith of Kitava, the itemizing is a lot different than the Titan because you don't have to invest so much into resistance, and it really makes it a lot smoother. You can prioritize fire resistance, and that helps a lot with not needing to have like a rare piece in every slot with high res and high life. That's what enables us to use this belt and this helmet. So the number one thing you want to prioritize on all your gear is strength, followed by dexterity. You want to have a high strength to be able to use this mace because we're using Titan's Blood. This requires 560 strength to wield. I'm at 587, so I'm barely over its cap right now. That's why I say you have to swap to the shield style later on, because usually when you're dual wielding the two-handers, you can get by with a lower level two-hander in the offhand with the bonus weapon skill that has the lower strength requirement, but once you have the single two-hander, you want a juice two-hander like this one. And this one's not even that good. It's like a middle-of-the-road one to pair with the shield. And then strength is just super hoosed for that. So you want strength as much as you possibly can, and then get dex as dex 2 because you do need dex for Wind Dancer, and once you have enough dex, you can put all your small passives towards strength. After that, added damage to attacks does help both Wind Dancer and Sunder, but really it's just about maximizing your resistances and your maximum life. So you're going to be looking for primarily fire resistance if you can, because fire resistance will work with or boost all of your resistances because of the Titan or the Smith of Kitava ascendancy, but do get a couple points of, if you can get lightning res or cold res, it does smooth things out a little bit here and there. So you can see on my rings, it got bonus to all elemental res, so that does make it a little bit smoother, but as you can see here, my reses are super good. So yeah, on the weapon, again, it is damage, not DPS, so you don't want attack speed. Accuracy rating does help because we do struggle to get accuracy rating cap, but it's not required. I would go with, if I could possibly get as much damage as possible, raw damage, as much physical damage specifically as possible too. The more physical damage you do, the more leech you can do, but elemental damage is not bad. And then strength if you can get it. More strength is always good. But of course the +7 melee skills and the leech physical damage as life is huge as well. This has gain mana per killed. Obviously I don't need that since I'm not using mana. I'm using blood magic, but that's what you want for your two-hander. For the shield, you want at least a 40% block chance. It can go up to like 43-44% chance on a shield. If you have a Chernobog is way better than a rare shield could ever be. Get Chernobog. But on your shield, additional physical damage reduction, fire res, strength, max life, and then of course get that block chance. Very, very important. For your belt, Inferno Clasp is going to be the belt you use for the entire time as long as we're doing this ultra res cap build. +6 maximum fire resistance, and then fire res, and then strength. I mean, has everything we want. There's like no debating this piece. The chest piece. So we are doing the Smith of Kitava Ascendancy where you use the white base, and you want the superior ornate plate. It is a level 70 chest piece. I talk about it in the written guide, but its base is regenerate percentage of your max life per second, which is huge. We already have something with like that built into Smith's Ascendancy, and this just gives us more of that. And then you can get it enchanted to have % additional physical damage reduction, so you're taking less damage. And then of course you can get 2 sockets in it. So that's what I recommend for this as your white base. For the helmet, I'm using the Deepest Tower now. This is just for endgame when you're doing the low life setup. It's just huge for bossing. You see a lot of builds use this right now. It's pretty common. Try and get 2 sockets so you can get the double +20 strength. It's got max life, chaos res, and then of course it's a big damage increase. So this is actually really good helmet for this build in general. And of course it only requires 40 int, so that's good. For your amulet, again, you want the +3 melee skills, and you also want melee skills on your gloves. You want to get % increased maximum life, and then after that, obviously, if you can get better stats, strength and stuff, go for it. I am on a sane budget, so I literally had to take the Titans one and then copy over here. Obviously, you can itemize this way better around your character, but it works fine for me. And the Anoint, I have offensive stance right now. Offensive stance is the one up here. So at one point I was pathing up here, and you do get a lot more block chance from this, which lets you like not put points into all of this stuff here and here. But I ended up swapping out of this. I just felt like this pathing was doing better for me, so I ended up taking this as my Anoint. And for the gloves, it's saying max life, get a bunch of dex, +2 melee skills, and attack damage here if you can get it. The boots, you want 35% move speed. I mean, that's just a given. Max life, strength, resistances, and then stun threshold. And that is the gear. Let's go over the passive tree. So here is the Smith Kitava Ascendancy. We've got the 15% fire res, and then we got Cold Soaker. This is what makes our fire res give us cold and lightning res. That's how we have so much lightning and cold res despite not having much on the gear. And then Forge and Flame. These are actually the last points you take. These are the first 2 points you take, so I should probably go in order. It's Cold Soaker. Then after that, you're going to put points into Support Straps and Kitava and Engraving. Support Straps is going to be huge for you while leveling and then deep into the end game. It's what makes stacking the strength so easy. And this just makes you so tanky. After that, I took Molten Symbol and Leather Bindings. Leather Bindings is really good. You are regenerating so much life at all times, especially when compared with the superior owner plate. Then you add on your leech. Okay, you are just so tanky. And then the physical damage from hits taken as fire damage, it's just, we are so durable. And then with the last 3 points, it's more fire res, or last 4 points, set of points, it's the increases to maximum fire resistance applies to maximum cold res and maximum lightning res. So like stuff like this and the belt is why our maximum res is 84, 84, 84 for all 3. So that's why I wanted to go to Smith. That's why I was like, if it's going to work, it's going to be because we can invest all of our tankiness into the Ascendancy, and that allows us to invest the rest into defenses, and that kind of ended up working out. So this is what the end game setup looks like. Again, if you want to see the step-by-step for leveling, look in the mobile links below. So yeah. We path this way, we take Brutal, we do want Unstoppable Barrier, mainly for the block chance, but it's not a bad buff to have. Right now I need a couple more levels, and then I'll finish getting these Strength nodes, but if you do need all these Strength nodes around here, go for it. Path through here, we're going to get Unbending. Up here, you want to take Titanic. Titanic is huge, it is required. These are just extra block nodes I took to get closer to 75% cap. Prism Guard for the maximum elemental res. Blood Magic, this is required. 1, the mana cost on your skills being converted to blood loss is not as bad as you would think, or health loss is not as bad as you would think. Even when you get a full chain all stack off while you're being hit, it's not the end of the world because you have so much regeneration and stuff. Don't be afraid of Blood Magic. Primal Growth for the increased area of effect, and then Battle Fever for attack and cast speed and attack speed and physical damage. Brute Strength for the damage for strength. Giant's Blood for the being able to use the two-hander with the shield. Fast Metabolism, this makes just our leech go, it's just like, you know, stays unreserved, it keeps going, you know, whenever you're at max life, you don't lose the leech. It's just extra defensive layer. It's really mainly for Delirium, excuse me, Simulacrum. If you don't do Simulacrum much, you don't need those 3 points there. Down here, this is how we can use all the support gems and gear so easily. You get a bunch of additional tributes here. Your equipment and skill gems have reduced trim requirements, so pretty big. I personally love Parrying Motion. You see me use it in a lot of builds. I know some people don't think it's good, but I love the fact that when you're in just the middle of a big map, you're getting hit so much and you're blocking so much that you really are zooming. Like sometimes you get over to 70% to 80% increased move speed, depending on how many times you've been hit. I love Parrying Motion. Unexpected Finesse is a new find I just ran into. It increases your attack damage by 10%, but you gain an accuracy rating equal to your strength. So at one point I was trying a lot to solve accuracy. I was using Resolute Technique. I was taking accuracy stuff here and other areas. And yeah, this just worked fine for me. Unexpected Finesse. These are all the low life nodes. It's pretty standard with the tower builds, and then of course Lay Siege for the damage per block chance. Again, I don't like doing weapon setups, but if you wanted to, you could have one that takes points out of this for mapping, and like you have it to where in more areas effect stuff for mapping, and then you have the low life bossing setups, but that's not really how I play. Oh, okay, so yeah, I forgot about this. So I got the Megalomaniac Diamond. I'm just testing this out. I don't know if you should use this, but I'm just testing it out. It's got Throat Seeker and Cooked. Cooked is, where is it? Oh, the Throat Seeker is this one over here, so it's 60% increased critical damage bonus, minus 20% critical hit chance. Since we have a guaranteed crits on Sunder, it just seemed like a cheap, easy grab, and then this just happened to be what was on it, Towering Shield, which is... This is not important for the build, really. I was just waiting to check out... This is like a jewel socket that gives you 60% crit damage bonus, seemed worth trying out. And this one, you want to get increased area effect, and then mana life, maximum life on kill, and then attack damage area effect, leech, and then block chance area effect, life leech. Block chance, of course, you want to try and get to 75% if you can. And yeah, that's the build. I'm probably going to be playing this build for a couple more days. I'm having fun with it. I mean, this is I'm really happy with how it turned out, and Smith is awesome. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. That's the build. I hope you're enjoying the content. If you are, please like and subscribe. If we get this video to 400 likes, I'll do that Caltrops build I mentioned in the intro. If you're a fan of me and want to support me directly, head into the description to the Steam page of my upcoming game Card Quest and give it a wish list. Apologies to Darth microtransaction, we once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.